Greetings all, welcome back to Eye of the Beholder. Okay, after 9 videos in about a month, we're finally getting to the end of reviewing the Undead miniatures created by Wizards and WizKids over a 20-year period between 2003 through 2023. As we've been going through these various types of Undead roughly alphabetically, you should be able to guess what's coming up next. Remember, headshots are best. Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, or for that matter, Shaun of the Dead. 28 days later, The Walking Dead. We're talking zombies here, people. Our favorite stumbling brain eaters have been around since the original Monster Manual of 1977. A staple of every low-level adventure, zombies can be dangerous, especially in numbers, but are relatively easy to kill, making them perfect for beginning PCs to cut their teeth with. Fun fact, as you'll see as we go through the minis, basically anything with a brain can be zombified. Finally, as we did with our skeleton video, due to the high number of zombie minis, we'll be reviewing these by year, unless we have one that really stands out.
2003's inaugural Harbinger set gives us 2 zombie miniatures. The first is the troglodyte zombie, proving my point about what I said in the intro. However, there really isn't anything to identify it as a zombie, and it can easily be used as a regular trog mini. Body is uniform green with little detailing, such as injuries that would reveal its condition. Wielding a weapon is also somewhat unusual for a zombie. Score: Paint 10, Pose 12, Playability 13, Pizzazz 10, for a score of 45. Our second zombie looks properly zombified, slight tilt to the right while it shambles towards its target, an improvised club in its hand. The concave chest and long gray hair are nice touches as well. Score: Paint 13, Pose 13, Playability 15, Pizzazz 15, for a score of 56. "2004 brings us 3 zombie minis. From Archfiends we get the Gravehound. Easily mistaken for a normal canine until you see its exposed ribs from a killing blow. Obviously on a hunt, low to the ground in a stalking pose with fangs bared. Score: Paint 14, Pose 15, Playability 12, Pizzazz 13, for a score of 54. Giants of Legends gives us our second regular old zombie, quite similar to the Harbinger version right down to the improvised club it holds. A better detailed face and color variance in the clothing gives us a slight bump in scoring. Paint 15, Pose 13, Playability 15, Pizzazz 16, for a score of 59. We get our first large zombie, this Ogre zombie in the Aberration set. While small for an ogre, remember this was back in the day, but I really do like its pose here, right knee touching the ground as it prepares to take a massive swing with its spiked club at a foe. I also like how the spikes are duplicated on the upper armband. Score: Paint 15, Pose 18, Playability 13, Pizzazz 12, for a score of 58. All of our zombie miniatures from 2005 come from one set, Death Knell, starting with this zombie white dragon. A dusky white of its hide, showing off numerous battle wounds, is perfect for a white dragon. Pose slowly turning upon itself with foreleg raised, to me, it's the calm before the storm. Again, small compared to what we get now, but back in 2005, this was the master of the playmat. Score: Paint 17, Pose 18, Playability 12, Pizzazz 14, for a score of 61. Here's the rest of the Death Knell zombies. The Undying Soldier are a special type of zombie common in Eberron. Motivated by devotion, honor, and duty, they are often used as, well, soldiers. That being said, this mini sucks. Monochrome brown that hides most of the detailing, we get much better versions coming up. Score: Paint 6, Pose 12, Playability 8, Pizzazz 5, for a score of 31. Next up is this spell-stitched hobgoblin zombie. Animated by the elaborate runes carved into its body, it's definitely stronger than your run-of-the-mill shambler. Note the right arm. Looks like it has lost its hand and had the skin and muscles torn from the forearm, leaving exposed bone. Score: Paint 12, Pose 13, Playability 13, Pizzazz 16, for a score of 54. Last up is the Blood Hulk Fighter. These guys are actually created by vampires, but unlike vampire spawn, the master has little control over it. The miniature does an excellent job depicting the blood-filled, bloated body, pose striding directly into battle, arms to the side and fists clenched as it screams its battle challenge, "I'm all in." Score: Paint 16, Pose 20, Playability 14, Pizzazz 22, for a score of 72. We get 4 more zombies in 2006, the first 2 from the War Drum set. First up is this Carnathy zombie. Like the Carnathy skeleton from a couple videos back, these are stronger and smarter than your average zombie. Well armored with a nicely detailed shield, it crouches in ready position, long sword front and center, ready to strike. Score: Paint 15, Pose 16, Playability 11, Pizzazz 15, for a score of 57. Next up is this Horde zombie. Looks orcish to me with its lower tusks and larger size. A common, hence the name, really ups the playability as it should be easy to acquire said Horde. Nice paint job, solid pose. Score: Paint 14, Pose 16, Playability 22, Pizzazz 16, for a score of 68. Our next 2 minis are from the War of the Dragon Queen set. Dread Warriors are enhanced zombies created by the Red Wizards of Thay. If you saw the movie, you know the Red Wizards. First off, note the face, scowling menacingly while bringing its axe down on a foe. You can feel the hate. Colored mostly in black, both metallic and copper armor, mix a couple of these into your zombie horde for a nice PC surprise. Score: Paint 12, Pose 15, Playability 13, Pizzazz 13, for a score of 53. Next up is this pathetic Kobold mini. Like the Trog zombie earlier, there's nothing here to indicate zombie. Terrible paint, uninspiring pose. Next. Score: Paint 5, Pose 8, Playability 10, Pizzazz 4, for a score of 27. We get only 1 zombie in 2007. From the Unhallowed set, we get this Strahd zombie. Finally, a little female representation. Moving forward with both arms raised checks all the zombie boxes, and we get a varied color palette with the 2-tone dress, pale skin, and raven hair. Interesting note, it's a common, and by the luck of the draw, I ended up with 11 of these. Score: Paint 16, Pose 13, Playability 20, gotta play them all, Pizzazz 15, for a score of 64. "2008 brings us 3 more, 1 from each set. From Dungeons of Dread, we get the Chillborn, radiating intense cold that can sap the strength of the living. This mini looks the part. Cold blue skin, note the bare feet, with ice forming on the head and shoulders. Again, moving forward with arm raised as is their wont, the coloring and pose seems a bit more unsettling than your standard zombie. Score: Paint 14, Pose 13, Playability 14, Pizzazz 20, for a score of 61. From Against the Giants, we get the more common zombie in pose and palette, just in orc form. He seems a bit unsteady, legs wobbly and arms outstretched more for balance than intent. Dark gray and black are the main colors, with a splash of brown for the loincloth. Score: Paint 13, Pose 14, playability 13, pizzazz 13, for a score of 53. Last up is a special case, the Corruption Corpse from the Demon Web set. Capable of throwing globs of necrotic matter as it closes on its foes to melee. I really like the pose of this mini, it's just so creepy. Standing with legs together and one arm tight to the body while it prepares to hurl death at its foes. The skull-like head is amazing, you can even make out some vertebrae holding the head up. And while the body is almost completely covered in gray matter, bones on the back are visible as well. Score: Paint 17, Pose 25, Playability 15, Pizzazz 25, for a score of 82. Cheating a bit with this mini from 2009's Monster Manual Savage Encounter set. Hey, it could rise as a zombie. It's called an inhabited corpse / fallen villager after all. Not a lot to see here, but it does look like it's holding a sword or dagger that's trapped under the body. Certainly usable as, background. Score: Paint 13, Pose 12, Playability 13, Pizzazz 12, for a score of 50. Our final WotC zombie mini also comes from the Savage Encounter set. Called a Zombie Hulk, I'm not sure what it used to be. Giant? Ogre? Sculpt detailing on the mini is what I want to see in my zombie minis. Multiple slashes, tears, and punctures, with most of the skin gone from its right arm, exposing muscle. Amazing facial details as well, with the yellow eyes and lower teeth protruding from the mouth. Pose is standard zombie, but the size infuses it with much more menace. Score: Paint 22, Pose 20, Playability 20, Pizzazz 25, for a score of 87. We get our first WizKids zombie and second overall Dread Warrior in 2015's Elemental Evil set, and it's definitely a different take than the WotC version. Clad in golden armor with lapis lazuli highlights, these must be palace guards versus the more battle-tested WotC versions. Pose striding forward with a matching golden shield and sword, ready to defend its master. Score: Paint 16, Pose 13, Playability 13, Pizzazz 15, for a score of 57. A year later, we get WizKids' version of the Strahd zombie in 2016's Monster Menagerie set, and he's had better days. "'Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off. I've had worse." What's particularly cool about this is that the severed arm is still moving. Note how it's reaching up. Paint and pose are certainly zombie appropriate. Mix these in with the WotC Strahd zombies for an awesome zombie horde. Score: Paint 14, Pose 19, Playability 18, Pizzazz 17, for a score of 68. "2017 brings us this Chultan zombie from the Tomb of Annihilation set. Native to that particular setting, but certainly usable as a standard zombie, its black skin strikingly offset by its bright yellow tunic. Standing at the ready, but with a great expression on its face, the sideways grimace actually makes me laugh. Score: Paint 15, Pose 12, Playability 13, Pizzazz 18, for a score of 58. Now this is interesting. From 2019's Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, we get this Beholder zombie. While it has no visible wounds, WizKids makes an inspiring choice to go with milky eyes, even extending that to the eye stalks. This conveys its undead status better than any wound. The detailing of the maw and fangs are top-notch as well. I particularly like the beard of spikes along the jawline. Score: Paint 22, Pose 25, Playability 17, Pizzazz 25, for a score of 89. As mentioned earlier, the Undead of Eberron are definitely different from your standard fare. Logically enough, these three minis all come from 2020's Eberron Rising from the Last War set. We get a Carnathy zombie and Undying soldier earlier from WotC, but both of these are head and shoulders above their predecessors. Both are clad in ornate golden armor, with the Carnathy zombie set in battle pose, leading with its spiked shield while preparing a second strike with its longsword. The Undying soldier is more sentry-like, spear at the ready, and full-body shield set in the ground before it. Nice touch with the blue plumes off the spear and helmet. Scores: Carnathy zombie, paint 16, pose 18, playability 15, pizzazz 19, for a score of 68. Undying soldier, paint 17, pose 15, playability 15, pizzazz 22, for a score of 69. Last up is this Undying Counselor mini. Undead advisors to the Elves of Aranal. This mini is garbed in rich clothing befitting its status. Golden crown and scepter complete the look. Score: paint 18, pose 13, playability 10, pizzazz 18, for a score of 59. When you name your set Boneyard, you're gonna have zombies. We get 8 in this 2021 set. And the very first miniature in the set is this perfect Goliath zombie. Tilting slightly to the right as it shambles forward, the mottled pale skin is covered with a leather skirt and light brown belt. We get the same color combo on the boots. Carrying an axe, the facial expression, vacant yet intense, is perfect as well. Who'da thunk it? The very first mini of the set is the best. Or is it? Score: 100. Our next two minis are the Crawling Claw and Dread Warrior. Doing its best thing impression, poses as you'd expect it, up on its fingers as it scuttles across the floor. Its small size makes specific detailing difficult, but adding a few of these to your zombie horde is guaranteed to create chaos. Score: paint 8, pose 12, playability 14, pizzazz 6, for a score of 40. This Dread Warrior is another screw-up on my part. It's not a zombie. WizKids calls it a white, but in my defense, WizKids gets it wrong too. Based on its translucent lower half, this is a wraith. Whatever it is, it's pretty cool. Translucent lower body coalescing into a solid purple torso, arms, and head. Evil visage grinning from beneath the hood. Score: paint 17, pose 18, playability 18, pizzazz 20, for a score of 83. Ever since I first saw them in 1981's first edition Fiend Folio, I've had a soft spot for the Sons of Caius. Covered in disgusting worms that could jump from spawn to PC, infecting the unfortunate and, unless cured quickly, turning the PC into a sun within minutes of death. Now called Spawn of Caius, this miniature perfectly captures the creature. Striding forward in classic zombie, the infectious green worms covering the torso and head. I used to love springing these guys on my PCs. You will too. Score: paint 16, pose 14, playability 15, pizzazz 25, nostalgia rules, for a score of 70. Next up is the Drowned Assassin and just a plain old zombie. The assassin has the pallor of something that has just rose out of the waves, with a nice touch of what appears to be a growth of coral on its right shoulder. Clad in the remnants of brown shirt and trousers, nice whimsical touch having it missing a boot. The zombie mini is unique and it is our only elf zombie. Brown leather armor over a yellow shirt, he's also missing a boot. Maybe he and the Drowned Assassin can work up a deal for a complete pair. Scores for both: Paint 14, Pose 12, Playability 13, Pizzazz 14 for a score of 53. "16 years after WotC's Ogre Zombie, we get our second here, and I must say, recency bias aside, it blows the WotC version away. The pale skin with mottled purple spots is so cool, and the rage expressed in its facial features is quite striking. Clad in a brown fur loincloth with matching arms and leg bands, I like how it has wrappings on its feet rather than boots. No need for weapons for this guy. It plans to tear you apart with its bare hands." Score: Paint 23, Pose 20, Playability 24, Pizzazz 25 for a score of 92. Wow. Just wow. The penultimate miniature of this set is the Tyrannosaurus zombie. Based on the gaping belly wound, this beast did not go down without a fight. Nor has time been kind, as much of the skin and flesh has rotted away, revealing ribs, hip bones, femur, and a tip of the tail. Note the zombies in its mouth. Fun fact about the Tyrannosaurus zombie: it can spit zombies at its foe. See? The zombies are removable. I'm not sure how playable this is in your standard D&D playgroup, but my video, my rules, score 100. "2021 Snowbound set gives us this Cold Night Walker mini, and it's definitely giving Game of Thrones Army of the Dead vibes. Completely covered in layers of brown clothing, we only get a peek of its grimacing visage from under the fur-lined hood. Bigger than your standard human-sized zombie, it could be a Goliath or orc under all that clothing. Score: Paint 12, Pose 12, Playability 13, Pizzazz 15 for a score of 52. We get this absolutely massive, huge mini from 2022's Van Richten Guide to Ravenloft set. Called a zombie clot, seriously, you can do curls with this monster. The amount of detailing in this mini is amazing. Just take a closer look. I can't imagine how much time went into creating the molds for this mini. Purple in color, with a very generous dark wash to reveal the amazing details. It charges forward with massive arms ready to smash everything in its path. Score: Paint 16, Pose 25, Playability 12, Pizzazz 25 for a score of 78. Our final zombie mini and our second kobold zombie comes from 2022's Fizban's Treasury of Dragons set, and like the last two duplicates, this is much better than the WotC version. First off, you can tell it's actually undead. Note the numerous bone-exposing wounds on the body. Weaponless but still moving forward with the fearlessness of the undead, mouth agape to attack with the only weapon it has. Score: Paint 14, Pose 13, Playability 14, Pizzazz 14 for a score of 55.
Well, that was a bit of a slog, but we're finally done with the Undead. Thanks to all who watched any or all of these videos. Please feel free to like or comment on what you liked or didn't like. I might take a week to catch my breath and decide what group of beasties to tackle next. Any thoughts? Leave them in the comments. I have the Beholder, signing off for now.